does not include the December deployment to New Orleans. CBO says continued
Morning.
deployments to those cities will cost about $93 million per month, and the deployments to other U.S. cities in 2026 would cost $18 million to $21 million per month for each city. Donna Border, Washington.
President Trump is suing the IRS and the Treasury Department for $10 billion, accusing them of failing to prevent a leak of his tax information to news outlets. More on these stories at townhall.com. It's time now for the latest news in the 9 o'clock hour. Headlines presented by Morton Hospital in Taunton. We're now part of Brown University Health. I'm Chris Keach reporting for WVBF News. A cold weather advisory continues until 11 o'clock this morning for most of southern New England. Expect very cold wind chills of 15 to 20 below zero. I got our complete forecast from the National Weather Service on the way. Two statewide utilities have backed off a plan to charge customers interest on the money that they defer from winter gas and electric bills over the next 2 months. Governor Maura Healey had asked utility officials to reduce customer bills by 10% in February and March amidst a brutal winter of sky-high heating charges and never-ending cold. She'd expressed frustration that the companies had planned to collect interest. WCVB Channel 5 News had reported that a number of customers had publicly expressed a preference to forego the 10% reduction if it means they could end up paying more in the long run. By the way, an additional 15% cut in electric bills will be funded by $180 million in state funds, and apparently that won't need to be repaid. In sports, in the NHL, Fraser Minten and Casey Middlestat each had a goal to assist. The Boston Bruins beating the Philadelphia Flyers 6-3 last night at TD Garden. The Bees visit the Tampa Bay Lightning as part of the NHL Stadium Series at Raymond James Stadium. That's this Sunday evening, 6:30 p.m. In college hoops, the Providence College Friars, they travel to the Finneran Pavilion to play Villanova tonight, 7 p.m. That'll be on FS1. In the NBA, the Boston Celtics have a home game against the Sacramento Kings this evening. That's at 7:30 p.m. at TD Garden. In Major League Baseball, Boston Red Sox Truck Day set for Groundhog Day next Monday, February 2nd. That's when the equipment truck is loaded outside of Fenway Park and leaves for sunny Florida. The first full squad workout takes place on Saturday, February 15th, and the New England Patriots hold a Super Bowl send-off rally this Sunday. The gates of Gillette Stadium in Foxborough open at 9 a.m. The rally set to begin at 9:30 a.m. And by the way, there'll be a live stream on that on patriots.com. Now the forecast from the National Weather Service.
A cold weather advisory from the National Weather Service remains in effect until 11 a.m. this morning for southern New England. Very cold wind chills as low as 20 below zero are expected. Exposure to this kind of cold could result in hypothermia or frostbite if precautions are not taken. Use caution if going outside. Wear appropriate clothing, dressing layers, and always wear a hat and gloves.
Well, as she said, sunny today, a high near 14, but the wind chill values probably about minus 12 or colder. So please be very warm and careful out there. Limit your time outside. West winds gusty as high as 25 miles an hour. Tonight, clear, low minus 4. Saturday, not much better. Sunny, a high near 20, but the wind chill minus 4. Unprecedented cold weather continues. Saturday night, wind chill values minus 1, a chance of snow. And on Sunday, snow is likely, a high near 24, maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow accumulation possible on Sunday. Just an awful winter, and it continues here in southern New England. Headlines presented by Morton Hospital in Taunton and now part of Brown University Health.
The opinions expressed on this program.
The future is bright at Morton Hospital, now proudly part of Brown University Health. This change welcomes a new chapter for our community, one where Morton is empowered to truly shine. As a part of Brown University Health, Morton can continue to provide the trusted care you depend on, supported by leading science that lights the way. Still local, now limitless. Morton Hospital is now part of Brown University Health.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
I let go of trying to control things that I had no control over, and that helped me find peace of mind.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
I was constantly stressed and worried. Now I approach each day with joy and gratitude.
In Al-Anon, families and friends of alcoholics find new ways to heal from the effects of a loved one's drinking.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Allergy can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. For information, call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and do not express the views of WVBF ownership or Hometown Talk Radio. Content aired on all programs are those of the host and their guests.
It's time for Hometown Talk on AM 1530 and 99.7 FM, your hometown radio station. Our phone lines are now open at 508-822-1106.
And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hometown Talk. It's a Friday. It's a Friday edition of Hometown Talk, and got a great show planned for you today. Alan Frawley will be joining us via the phone lines. That's coming up at 10:35 a.m. this morning. We have your phone calls today. 508-822-1106, 508-822-1106 is the number to call if you want to call in, talk about what was on your mind this morning. How is everyone holding up in this weather? Very, very cold temperatures out there, and that's going to continue for quite a bit here. The next couple of weeks, unfortunately, is what's going to be going on here with this. It's going to be lasting for quite a while, unfortunately. This weather is feeling more like Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, than it is Taunton, Massachusetts, unfortunately. But hopefully over the next couple of weeks, it starts to warm up a little bit and it becomes a little bit more bearable. But right now, not great. We'll take a look at the weather later as well and see what's going on. A little bit of good news with the weather. It seems like the snow totals for this weekend's particular storm, potential bomb cyclone kind of storm might be minimal, which will be very, very good. There originally there was a potential of I think 6 inches or something like that. Now it's looking like 1 to 2 here in the Taunton area, maybe some more in the coast in Cape Cod. So areas in Taunton, Middleborough might get a lot less than first thought, which that is a little bit of good news there. But again, that little bit of good news is unfortunately kind of offset by the very cold weather that we're going to be having over the next couple of days and even longer than that. it seems like this weather's not too keen on leaving anytime soon. That's unfortunate. But we'll give you an update on the weather in a few minutes here. But I am Joey Driscoll. Today is Friday, the 30th of January, 2026. This is Hometown Talk, the Friday edition of Hometown Talk. We have open phone lines for the majority of the show. We'll talk about different things here, different topics. We'll have our transportation topic. Apparently, there's some new updates on the MBTA Communities Act again, so we'll talk about that again. And I'm sure transportation will come up as well when we talk to Alan at 10:35 a.m. this morning, along with some other pretty important things going on in Middleborough. There's a town manager search going on now as well, and some other things going on with elections coming up in April. Is also going to be a big deal. And then pretty much immediately following that, you got town meeting. April is always a very interesting month in Middleborough politically, with the elections, and then you have town meeting immediately after that. So we'll talk a little bit about that, I'm sure, with Alan as well. But that's coming up again at 10:35 a.m. this morning. But your phone calls today. If you want to talk about the Patriots, what your thoughts on the Super Bowl is, as we are now 9 days away from the Super Bowl. What is your thoughts on the matchup? Are you worried about Drake May and his injured shoulder? Shoulder. There we go. Shoulder. I apologize there. Trying to get the right word there. His injured arm there, his throwing arm. Are you worried about that? Or are you worried about some of the other players that are injured on this Patriots team that the media doesn't seem to care about? Honestly, it seems like they seem to just care about Drake May and his injury, and instead of kind of focusing on, Robert Spillane, maybe. Robert Spillane has an ankle injury that could keep him out of the Super Bowl. You don't hear too much about that. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the matchup as a whole? The Patriots and the Seahawks. This is a rematch of Super Bowl 49. It's going to be a good matchup, I think, in my opinion. I'll give some more thoughts about what I think in a little bit during our sports segment. Transportation, we'll talk about, of course, the MBTA Communities Act and some of the other things going on for February, as we now going to be entering February. Our first day of February is on Sunday. We're going to talk about some of the events coming up for the MBTA in February as we get into the year now. Some big things I'm sure are coming up very soon. There's some big projects regionally as well that are being completed or on their way to being completed as well. We'll talk a little bit about that, I'm sure. Amtrak related stuff in a little bit. But we have a great show planned for you today. So 508-822-1106, 508-822-1106 is the number to call. I will not be getting into the Bill Belichick thing during our sports segment. I have my thoughts, and I will refrain from saying anything. I will refrain from saying anything about that. I'll just say it's ridiculous and move on from that. But what are your thoughts? 508. I want to hear from you on that as well during our sports segment. 508-822-1106. What are your thoughts on the Bill Belichick situation? And we'll just we'll leave it at that too. All right. Let's take our first break. When we come back, we're going to break into a couple of local events going on as well, and much more on the show today. And we're going to be right back in just a few minutes.
Here's a winter driving safety reminder. Before you hit the road, take a few extra minutes to clear all snow and ice from your vehicle, especially the roof, hood, lights, and windows. Snow left on your roof can slide onto your windshield or fly off and endanger other drivers. Make sure your windshield is fully defrosted so you have a clear view of the road. Clear headlights, taillights, and mirrors so others can see you. A few minutes of prep can prevent crashes and injuries. A reminder from the Rainham Police Department and your friends at your hometown radio station, WVBF.
And we are back. I turned down the bumper music. There we go. It is 9:20 a.m. here. We're going to go through a series of different events going on in the area as well. This has been kind of an interesting week for Middleborough, kind of a quiet week for Middleborough. I think school has been out, I think, over the last couple of days due to the snow. I'm not sure if they're back yet. I know that I think that there was a couple of days where they were out due to the snow. We'll talk to Alan about that too, about how the snowstorm affected schools in Middleborough. I think it affected it very much so. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But it's been kind of an interesting week here in Middleborough. There's events coming up next week as we start the month of February. First one I'll mention here is celebrate Take Your Child to the Library Day at the Middleborough Public Library. Celebrate the International Take Your Child to the Library Day, and that's going to be February 7th. That's a Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Middleborough Public Library. Now, this day is an international initiative to encourage families to take their children to the local library. People can bring their children to the public library's children's room for a day of fun and free activities. And the Middleborough Library is a very big library, a lot going on in there, so a lot to check out in there as well. They got a downstairs area where they have a little bit of a conference room there where they hold a lot of events as well. They have a library downstairs as well for the kids. They have the main library upstairs, and that is a huge library. I've been in there. That's a very good sized library there in downtown Middleborough as well. I think that's the biggest library I've been in. In the area, so a lot to do at the library. Attendees can make a bookmark, play games, join the library's Winter Olympics, reading challenges, and complete a scavenger hunt. Kids who sign up for a new library card, they'll get to pick something out of the library's prize bin. There's no registration required. All ages are welcome. Again, this is Saturday, February 7th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. for that event. We have that going on. A couple of weeks from now is Valentine's Day. There will be a Valentine's Day cafe and music bingo. This is at the Lakeville COA. The Lakeville Council on Aging invites older adults to a special Valentine's Day edition of their Friday Cafe, which is going to be Friday, February the 13th at 10 a.m. This event, attendees can enjoy sweet treats and music bingo with David Santos, DJ David Santos of Mighty Music. There will be fun sing-alongs and prizes for all the winners. Sign up by calling the council at 508-947-7224. That is coming up at 10 a.m. on Friday, February the 13th. And an event that we've been talking about a couple of times here. There's two events here to end the month of January. I'm going to talk about that now. These are events that we've been talking about quite a bit here on WVPF. First off, the open house for the new fire station in Bridgewater. That will be tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's at 1185 Pleasant Street in Bridgewater. Open houses for fire stations are always fun. A lot of great events happen at these kind of events. I've been to several at the Middleborough fire station. This is a little different. This Bridgewater one's a little bit different. This is an opening of a new fire station, but open houses, to begin with, when it comes to the fire stations, are always very impressive because they put on some great events at these kind of events here. So that should be a fun event to go to if you're interested in the area of Bridgewater. Go down and check this out. Check out the new fire station in Bridgewater. Again, that is tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 1185 Pleasant Street in Bridgewater. Also coming up tomorrow night, 3 comedians will hit the stage at Loon Pond Lodge for the annual Lakeville Lions comedy show. Doors will open 6:45 p.m. Performances at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday, January 31st. That's tomorrow at Loon Pond Lodge, 28 Preston Street. That's in Lakeville. Tickets can be bought online for $29.50. Tables are available for reservation as well. All of the proceeds from the event that'll go towards the club's charitable and community service activities. This show includes Andrea Henry, who has appeared on America's Funniest Moms, a reality competition television series. Michael Pettit, who's a national headlining comedian. He's appeared on Comedy Central, ESPN, numerous Las Vegas venues. And Derek Fonseca, who has been a frequent performer in venues in Connecticut and also in Rhode Island. Tickets can be purchased online at LakevilleMALions.org. So there you go. A lot of great events there. So we have that as well. Let's take a few minutes here to talk about Groundhog Day, shall we? I'm not a huge fan of Groundhog Day. I've made my opinions on Groundhog Day pretty clear. I am not a fan of Groundhog Day. I'm not a fan of a groundhog telling me that there's going to be 6 more weeks of winter. It makes me mad. It does. It makes me mad. I understand, though, the importance of Groundhog Day to that area. It's a tradition and it's been around for, quite a while at this point. I've been through Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. It's a nice town. It's a nice little town. It's a cute town. A lot of groundhog-related stuff there. It's really a funny thing and an interesting thing as well there in that town. I've been through there. It's a nice town. It is. And this event they take very seriously as well. But I don't know. I just don't like the Groundhog Day thing. I really don't. Winter is, as long as it is, the groundhog telling you that there's going to be 6 more weeks of winter, doesn't make you too happy, I'm sure. I'm sure I'm not alone on this either. But anyway, what is your thoughts on Groundhog Day? I'll leave it out to everyone else. Do you like Groundhog Day? 508-822-1106. Again, I've made my opinions on Groundhog Day pretty clear. I like the town. I like Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. It's a nice town. I've been through there. Very, very nice. A lot to do there, it seems like. I just don't like the groundhog portion of it. But what are your thoughts? 508-822-1106 is the number. Speaking of Groundhog Day, this is why I brought Groundhog Day up for a minute here to talk about my thoughts on it. But there is an event coming up for Groundhog Day. Spice of the Month, all day on February 2nd on Groundhog Day. Spice of the Month bags will be available to grab while supplies last. The bags includes information about the spices and recipes as well. And it doesn't say what spice of the month it is. That must be a secret that you find out when you get these spice of the month bags. Pretty interesting stuff there. All right, well, it's 9:30. Let's take our news break. We'll be right back here on WVBF 1530 AM, 99.7 FM.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. Amit Thomason, a former Federal Reserve governor who apparently favors lowering interest rates and is in sync with President Trump's stand on tariffs. Mr. Trump's choice for Fed chairman, if confirmed by the Senate, Kevin Warsh will succeed Jerome Powell, whose term expires in May. The president threatens Canada with a whopping 50% tariff on any aircraft sold in the U.S.
The president is kicking his trade war with Canada up a notch in a dispute over aircraft. He said he was retaliating against Canada for refusing to certify jets from Georgia-based Gulfstream Aerospace. In a social media post, the president said the U.S. in return would decertify all Canadian aircraft. If the situation is not immediately corrected, he said, he will impose a 50% tariff on all aircraft sold into the United States. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Ukrainians suffering through an especially brutal winter may get a brief respite from the ravages of war. President Trump says he called the Kremlin.
I personally asked President Putin not to fire into Kiev and the various towns for a week, and he agreed to do that. And I have to tell you, it was very nice. A lot of people said, don't waste the call, you're not going to get that. And he did it, and we're very happy that they did.
Ukrainian President Zelensky is skeptical. As the Deep South braces for another icy blast of Arctic air, the eastern Carolinas, Tidewater, Virginia, preparing for a wintry nor'easter, expected to lay down a heavy blanket of snow, along with fierce winds, making for blizzard-like conditions. The major East Coast cities are not expected to take a hit. Don Lemon has been arrested. He was in the thick of an anti-ice protest during a service inside a Minnesota church. It happened earlier this month. On Wall Street, ahead of this morning's opening bell, the Dow futures are down 257 points, while the NASDAQ futures are off 193. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Providers. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find the term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Providers help thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085. 800-555-2085.
President Trump is threatening sanctions over Cuba while reopening Venezuelan airspace.
President Trump signed an executive order that would impose tariffs on goods from countries that sell or provide oil to Cuba. It's a move that puts pressure on Mexico. President Claudia Sheinbaum said this week her government has at least temporarily stopped oil shipments to Cuba, but called that a sovereign decision, not made under pressure from Washington. Meanwhile, Venezuela's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, signed into law an overhaul of her country's oil industry, easing state control in an effort to lure investors. And President Trump ordered Venezuela's airspace be reopened to commercial travel.
American citizens will be very shortly able to go to Venezuela, and they'll be safe there. They'll be safe. It's under very strong control.
And Thomas Washington.
News and analysis at townhall.com. A new device will allow some blind and low vision football fans a chance to experience the Super Bowl like never before.
A tactile device tracks the ball, vibrates on key plays, and provides real-time audio. That means with hands on the device, the vision impaired can feel the location of the ball and hear what's happening throughout the game. The NFL teamed up with One Court and Ticketmaster to pilot the game-enhanced experience 15 times during the regular season. About 10 blind and low vision fans will now have the opportunity to use the same technology at the Super Bowl when Seattle faces New England. Bob Agnew reporting.
President Trump has signed an executive order imposing tariffs on any goods from countries selling or providing oil to Cuba. That move puts pressure on Mexico, which Mr. Trump has been squeezing to distance itself from the government of the communist island. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Yep. All right. Let's see, 110.
Hey, restaurant, when it comes to great food and in-house operations, you got it down to a science.
9:36 already.
Online marketing, ordering, and
At first
delivery,
half blew by.
Now has got you covered. Devour Now has 0% commission, no setup cost.
Hello, everybody.
Solution you've been hoping for. Go to getdevournow.com to request a demo and to get started today. That's getdevournow.com. Commission-free online marketing, ordering, and delivery.
All right, I'm going to go back on air. Three, two, one. And we're back. So I turned down the bumper music. There we go. 9:37 a.m. here. We're going to get into a pretty interesting and cool news story here in, for Middleborough here in a minute. I want to quickly talk about our state legislators and their office hours. These office hours for the state legislators, those take place at Taunton City Hall, Silver City Conference Room, the second floor. First off, State Senator Kelly Dooner and our chief of staff. That is the fourth Tuesday of the month, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. there. State Representative Norman Orall and his legislative aide. That is the third Monday of the month, 11 a.m. to noon. State Representative Lisa Field and her legislative aide. That is every week, every Wednesday, 10 a.m. to noon. And again, one other one here, we have State Representative Justin Thurber and his legislative aide. You can contact both of them by email, justin.thurber@mahouse.gov, and you can email his legislative aide, Kevin Conlin, at kevin.conlin@mahouse.gov. And if you're not in the Bristol County area and you want to find out what your MA legislator is or who it is, you can go to malegislator.gov. You can search Find My Legislator as well if you happen to be listening to us in other areas here in the state. All right, so we have that. A little bit of a cool news story here. A Middleborough student, this is from the Mascot Week, by the way. A Middleborough student has won a speech contest moving on to the state competition. Middleborough High School sophomore Eleanor Jackson was the winner of the annual American Legion District 10 Oracle contest. And then it was held on the 18th of January at the American Legion Post, and that was in Sandwich. She will now continue on to state competition. She spoke about the birth of America, how the government serves the people, and how people serve the government. The contest requires participants to display a deep knowledge in our Constitution. The American Legion's National Oracle contest that was established in 1938 that challenges high school students to explore the U.S. Constitution while building confidence, leadership, and public speaking skills. So that's a really cool news story there. I wanted to mention that. That was from the Mascot Week. Moving on, switching gears a little bit. Some more news on Old Colony. This is also from the Mascot Week as well. Voters in Rochester, Mattapoisett, Lakeville, Acushnet, Carver will once again be asked to approve a plan to rebuild Old Colony Regional Vocational Technical High School. That was rejected back in November on a vote in November. At a Wednesday, January 28th meeting, so this past Wednesday, the Old Colony School Committee unanimously approved a revote on the proposed $288 million project. The current aging building is in need of repairs and infrastructural updates. It also does not meet state space requirements and lacks accessible bathrooms. These changes would be costly. It would take about $134 million to make all of the needed repairs. The school received a grant from the Massachusetts School Building Authority. That's going to cover $129 million of this project, leaving member towns collectively responsible for the remaining half of that. Okay, yeah, the remaining portion of that. The school committee weighed these options along with a third option, which was to complete priority repairs every 3 years at its meeting before deciding constructing a new building is the most physically responsible step forward. This is something that's been talked about quite a lot in this area. We'll see what happens with this. If the building project is approved in the revote, Lakeville, they're estimated to pay $39.5 million. When Lakeville voters went to the polls in November, they were also asked to approve a debt exclusion, authorizing the town to temporarily increase taxes to fund the Old Colony replacement. That is going to be a big hurdle, I'm sure, the taxes issue. But we'll see what happens there. That's always a big issue when it comes to these kind of things, the taxes issue there. In past select board meetings, town administrator Andrew Soakforth has indicated the town will likely ask voters to again approve a debt exclusion if this project moves forward. The school committee will schedule a revote after submitting their decision to the Massachusetts School Building Association. So keep an eye on that. If you're in any of these towns in Rochester, Mattapoisett, Lakeville, Acushnet, and Carver, keep an eye on this. This is continuing to be a big issue there, Old Colony, and it will continue to be well into 2026 here. Well into 2026. All right, so there you go with that. A couple of other events here I want to do before we take our next commercial break. Oak Point, they'll have a book club if you're in the Oak Point area here. Members of the Oak Point Book Club delivered their annual book donation to the children's room of the Middleborough Public Library. That was on January 28th. Over the last 11 years, the book club has donated more than 215 books to the library. The group uses a wish list compiled by library staff to purchase new titles. The book club. Now, there won't be a book club event going on, but the book club itself is doing some good things. I apologize there. I thought there was an event coming up. Actually, the book club itself, the Oak Point Book Club, is doing some good things here in Middleborough. The public library is thankful for the Oak Point Book Club continued support and generosity. That was a statement released by the library. So there you go. There, a lot of great things happening in Middleborough, of course. A lot of great things like that happen in Middleborough, and it's always good to talk about that as well. We've got one other event to talk about. There's a Lakeville COA digital literacy session coming up. The instructor Jennifer Shallcross of the Chalk Talk Technology is holding new sessions of digital literacy for the older adults at the Lakeville Council on Aging, which is starting up in March. All classes that will be taught using new tablets, which will be loaned out for students to practice skills at home between classes. Topics include basic tablet use, internet browsing safety, email communication, and Zoom for video calls using Zoom. Zoom is interesting, to say the least. It's not that hard to use. I've used it several times. It's not that hard to use. But learning some of the things you could do with it is not a bad thing either. Because there's a lot you can do with Zoom. With that as well. And internet safety is extremely, extremely important. There are internet scams rampant on the internet. Scams in general are rampant. But knowing how to browse safely on the internet is so important as well. So these skills are going to be very important. So that's a good thing that this is happening. The program costs $10 per person and includes 4 weekly class sessions. Call the council at 508-947-7224 for more information, and also for class dates as well. So if you're in the Lakeville area and are an older adult and want to check out this event, again, it's at the Lakeville COA, and that's going to be in March. All right, so we have all that going on. It is 9:47. We're going to take our last, well, not our last, but one of our last commercial breaks of the hour. There we go. Open phone lines, 508-822-1106. What's your thoughts on the Patriots? What's your thoughts on some of the big events happening with the Patriots and big events happening sports-wise? We are just a few days away, I think a week or so, less than 2 weeks away from the Olympics as well. Another big tournament that's going on, another big event that's going on is the Australian Open. We'll give an update on that because there was semifinals are going on earlier on this morning in Australia. We'll give a quick update on that, and we'll see what's going on with that in our sports segment. We'll have our transportation segment as well. 10:35 a.m. Alan Frawley will be joining us via the phone lines. We'll be talking about all things, school committee and some other things as well, I'm sure, that we'll get into. So stay tuned. We'll be right back here at this commercial break. Again, open phone lines, 508-822-1106 is the number. We'll be right back.
Matthew Mission Food Pantry helps people with food insecurities from the hardships of life. In a few short years, they have given more than 4,000 bags of groceries to those in need at the north door of the First Parish Church, 76 Church Green, and are available to anyone, no questions asked. The demand increases every week. Please consider a donation of unexpired, non-perishable food items, grocery store gift cards, or a monetary donation via check to the Matthew Mission Food Pantry, 76 Church Green, Taunton, or by Venmo at Matthew Mission Food Pantry. The Matthew Mission Inc. is a registered 501c3 organization. Thank you.
The Matthew Mission Food Pantry is now open the second and fourth Saturdays of the month at 76 Church Green in Taunton.
I gotta tell you, I am so impressed with what some of these tennis players are able to do athletically. These semifinals for the Australian Open that took place earlier on this morning, when everyone was sleeping here in the U.S., were very, very interesting and also very, very long as well. One of the matches that lasted 5.5 hours. I'll repeat that, 5.5 hours. I don't know how these tennis players can do it. I mean, have so many tennis matches over a 1-year period, and a lot of them are very, very long, and it's just very interesting, But let's talk a little about the Australian Open here. The Australian Open, the finals are set on the men's side. Novak Djokovic, he was able to outlast Jannik Sinner. He had a 3-6, 6-3, 4-6, 6-4, and 6-4 win over Sinner in a match that extended past 1:30 a.m. local time in Melbourne. 1:30 a.m. local time in Melbourne. Wow. He will have a chance to play for an unprecedented 25th Grand Slam title. Awaiting him in the final is Carlos Alcaraz, who, along with Sinner, has won the last 8 major titles. He defeated Alexander Zverev, also in a 5-set epic match. That took 5 hours in 27 minutes. That was the longest semifinal ever at an Australian Open. Again, I don't know how these tennis players can do it. 5 hours in 27 minutes. I mean, the average high school tennis game is like not even 2 hours. 5.5 hours. Wow. And I kind of put this into a little bit of a context here for everyone. A tennis player, they typically run 2 to 3 miles, 3.2 to 4.8 kilometers in a standard Grand Slam match. This can vary significantly from under a mile in a short match to over 5 in kind of the matches that you saw yesterday. In a lengthy 5-set battle or this morning, with factors like court surface and match length playing big roles as well. That's huge. that is huge. So very interesting. Very interesting there. I wanted to put that a little bit into context here. For like a tournament total, in 2012, Roger Federer, and I believe Andy Murray as well, they ran roughly 64 miles combined during their matches at Wimbledon that year. 64 miles. Wow. That's wild. What are your thoughts on that? Again, tennis is no joke. Tennis is no joke. 508-822-1106 is the number to call if you have any thoughts on that. If you have any thoughts on what I've talked about in this first hour here of the program, 508-822-1106. We have a couple more minutes left here in this hour. In the second hour, we'll continue a little bit more with the sports. We'll have our transportation topic as well. And then Alan Frawley will be joining us in the second half of the second hour via the phone lines. We're talking about all things Middleborough. That's coming up at 10:35 a.m. this morning. So we have all that going on here in the second hour. All right, continuing here, got a couple minutes here before the 10 o'clock hour. I'm going to go into just a couple of very quick things here. First off, we have the Celtics. They will play tonight. They'll take on the Sacramento Kings. Should be a relatively easy matchup for the Celtics. I mean, not every matchup is easy. The Kings, I mean, they, could show some flashes, and we'll see what happens there. But the Kings and the Celtics, that is today, 7:30 p.m. tonight. There are some other games this year that didn't go our way with teams worse than this. Pacers being one of those games. That didn't go our way, but the Celtics, they'll look to get the 30 wins here by beating the Kings tonight, 7:30 p.m. The Kings are firmly out of the playoffs. They probably will not make the playoffs. They're 12-37 at this point. And the Pacers, too. The Pacers are not that good either. So, there's that. Pacers are 12-36. You also got the Wizards who are 12-36. I feel bad for the Wizards. I really do. That's a shame. They have not been good really since. Well, I wouldn't say since Michael Jordan was on the team, but I mean, really, since Michael Jordan's been on the team. I mean, you had a couple of good years there in the John Wall era of Washington, but really the majority of those seasons, the past 25 years, have just not been good for Washington. So there's your Celtics update. Celtics are doing pretty good. We have an update on the Bruins. Bruins defeated the Flyers yesterday, 6-3. Tomorrow, no, not tomorrow, but Sunday. There we go. Sunday is their next game. They will be at the Stadium Series. They'll travel to Tampa, and they'll play in a stadium. The Navy Federal Credit Union Stadium Series. That's coming up 6:30 p.m. on Sunday, again against the Lightning. That is going to be one of the probably biggest matches of the year so far. The Lightning seem to be back to form. They're doing very, very well. They're 34-14. They're kind of back, it seems like, at this point. What were able to do in the early part of this decade, looks like they're starting to kind of get the hang of it here in the second half of this decade. We'll see what happens there with the Lightning. But right now, 34-14, that's a pretty good record. That is a pretty good record for them. All right, we are going to get into the Patriots when we come back from this news break. And we will be right back here on WVBA 1530 AM, 99.7 FM. 136.
Don't miss InfoTrack weekends here on WVBF. InfoTrack is a weekly nationally syndicated public affairs radio show that features interviews with experts discussing topics of real interest to you. InfoTrack strives to present impartial, balanced coverage of every story. I'm your host, Chris Whitting, along with a team of talented reporters and legendary announcer, Charlie Van Dyke. InfoTrack Saturday mornings at 8:05 a.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m. here on WVBF AM 1530 and 99.7 FM, your hometown radio station.
We are AM 1530, WVBF, Middleborough, Taunton, and W259DD.
Hair's hanging. Hair's sticking up.
Your
Sucks.
hometown radio station.
All right, anyway.
Breaking news this hour
Nice.
from Town Hall. Amit Thomason, a former Federal Reserve governor who apparently favors lowering interest rates and is in sync with President Trump's stand on tariffs. Mr. Trump's choice for Fed chairman, if confirmed by the Senate, Kevin Warsh will succeed Jerome Powell, whose term expires in May. The president threatens Canada with a whopping 50% tariff on any aircraft sold in the U.S.
The president is kicking his trade war with Canada up a notch in a dispute over aircraft. He said he was retaliating against Canada for refusing to certify jets from Georgia-based Gulfstream Aerospace. In a social media post, the president said the U.S. in return would decertify all Canadian aircraft. If the situation is not immediately corrected, he said, he will impose a 50% tariff on all aircraft sold into the United States. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Ukrainians suffering through an especially brutal winter may get a brief respite from the ravages of war. President Trump says he called the Kremlin.
I personally asked President Putin not to fire into Kiev and the various towns for a week, and he agreed to do that. And I have to tell you, it was very nice. A lot of people said, don't waste the call, you're not going to get that. And he did it, and we're very happy that they did it.
Ukrainian President Zelensky is skeptical. As the Deep South braces for another icy blast of Arctic air, the eastern Carolinas, Tidewater, Virginia, preparing for a wintry nor'easter, expected to lay down a heavy blanket of snow, along with fierce winds, making for blizzard-like conditions. The major East Coast cities are not expected to take a hit. Don Lemon has been arrested. He was in the thick of an anti-ICE protest during a service inside a on Wall Street ahead of this morning's opening bell. The Dow futures are down 257 points, while the NASDAQ futures are off 193. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find the term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Providers help thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor.
Who's Big Lou anyway?
555-2085. Big Blue will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085.
Sure.
800-555-2085.
Jeez.
President Trump is threatening sanctions over Cuba while reopening Venezuelan airspace.
President Trump signed an executive order that would impose tariffs on goods from countries that sell or provide oil to Cuba. A move that puts pressure on Mexico. President Claudia Sheinbaum said this week her government has at least temporarily stopped oil shipments to Cuba, but called that a sovereign decision, not made under pressure from Washington. Meanwhile, Venezuela's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, signed into law an overhaul of her country's oil industry, easing state control in an effort to lure investors. And President Trump's ordered Venezuela's airspace be reopened to commercial travel.
American citizens will be very shortly able to go to Venezuela, and they'll be safe there. They'll be safe. It's under very strong control.
Ben Thomas, Washington.
News and analysis at townhall.com. A new device will allow some blind and low vision football fans a chance to experience the Super Bowl like never before.
A tactile device tracks the ball, vibrates on key plays, and provides real-time audio. That means with hands on the device, the vision impaired can feel the location of the ball and hear what's happening throughout the game.
That's
The NFL
huge.
teamed up with One Court and Ticketmaster to pilot the game-enhanced experience 15 times during the regular season. About 10
Anyone
blind
with
and low vision
Ticketmaster.
fans will now have the opportunity to use the same technology at the Super Bowl when Seattle faces New England. Bob Agnew reporting.
9 days away.
President Trump has signed an executive order imposing tariffs on any goods from countries selling or providing oil to Cuba. That move puts pressure on Mexico, which Mr. Trump has been squeezing to distance itself from the government of the communist island. More on these stories, townhall.com.
It's time now for the latest news in the 9 o'clock hour.
10 o'clock hour.
Headlines presented by Morton Hospital in Taunton. They're now part of Brown University Health. I'm Chris Keach reporting for WVBF News. A cold weather advisory continues until 11 o'clock this morning for most of southern New England. Expect very cold wind chills of 15 to 20 below zero. I got our complete forecast from the National Weather Service on the way. Two statewide utilities have backed off a plan to charge customers interest on the money that they defer from winter gas and electric bills over the next 2 months. Governor Maura Healey had asked utility officials to reduce customer bills by 10% in February and March amidst a brutal winter of sky-high heating charges and never-ending cold. She'd expressed frustration that the companies had planned to collect interest. WCVB Channel 5 News had reported that a number of customers had publicly expressed a preference to forgo the 10% reduction if it means they could end up paying more in the long run. By the way, an additional 15% cut in electric bills will be funded by $180 million in state funds, and apparently that won't need to be repaid. In sports, in the NHL, Fraser Minten and Casey Middlestat each had a goal and 2 assists. The Boston Bruins beating the Philadelphia Flyers 6-3 last night at TD Garden. The Bees visit the Tampa Bay Lightning as part of the NHL Stadium Series at Raymond James Stadium. That's this Sunday evening, 6:30 p.m. In college hoops, the Providence College Friars, they travel to the Finneran Pavilion to play Villanova tonight, 7 p.m. That'll be on FS1. In the NBA, the Boston Celtics have a home game against the Sacramento Kings this evening. That's at 7:30 p.m. at TD Garden. In Major League Baseball, Boston Red Sox Truck Day set for Groundhog Day next Monday, February 2nd. That's when the equipment truck is loaded outside at Fenway Park and leaves.
Love the town.
Sunny
Don't
Florida.
love
The first full squad workout takes place on Saturday, February
I care less
15th. The
about
New England
Florida.
Patriots hold a Super Bowl send-off rally this Sunday. The gates at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough open at 9 a.m. The rally is set to begin at 9:30 a.m. And by the way, there'll be a live stream on that on patriots.com. Now the forecast from the National Weather Service.
A cold weather advisory from the National Weather Service remains in effect until 11 a.m. this morning for southern New England. Very cold wind chills as low as 20 below zero are expected.
Yeah.
Exposure to this kind of cold could result in hypothermia or frostbite if precautions are not taken.
Terrible.
Use caution if going outside. Wear appropriate clothing, dressing layers, and always wear a hat and gloves.
Well, as she said, sunny today, a high near 14, but the wind chill values probably about minus 12 or colder. So please be very warm and careful out there. Limit your time outside. West winds gusty as high as 25 miles an hour. Tonight, clear, low, minus 4. Saturday, not much better. Sunny, a high near 20, but the wind chill, minus 4. Unprecedented cold weather continues. Saturday night, wind chill values, minus 1, a chance of snow. And on Sunday, snow is likely, a high near 24, maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow accumulation possible on Sunday. Just an awful, awful winter, and it continues here in southern New England.
Yeah.
Headlines,
Yes.
headlines, presented by Morton Hospital in Taunton and now part of Brown University Health.
The future is bright at Morton
Terrible.
Hospital, now proudly part
Terrible
of Brown
weather.
University
Terrible.
Health. This change welcomes a new chapter for our community, one where Morton is empowered to truly shine. As a part of Brown University Health, Morton can continue to provide the trusted care you depend on, supported by leading science that lights the way. Still local, now limitless. Morton Hospital is now part of Brown University Health.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and do not express the views of WVBF ownership or Hometown Talk Radio. Content aired on all programs are those of the host and their guests.
And we're back. Turn down the bumper music. There we go. 10:11 a.m. There, as you heard from Chris Keach this morning here during the headlines. Cold weather is the word today. Cold weather. And that will continue for the foreseeable future, unfortunately. A little bit of good news is that the snow totals from this weekend's storm, parent storm, are going to be low, it seems like. 1 to 2 inches here in this area. The Cape might get a little bit more, but it looks like that storm is tracking a little bit more offshore, it seems like, which is good news. It's good news. We're still going to, I think, probably get the wind from this storm. But right now it seems like not that much snow from this storm, which is, again, a little bit good news here in the sea of terrible news about the weather here over the next couple of weeks. It's going to stay like this for the foreseeable future, unfortunately. This is more like Prudhoe Bay, Alaska weather than it is Taunton, Massachusetts weather. But yeah, moving on to a little bit more of our sports here. We are going to do here the Patriots talk now. We have 9 days to go until the Super Bowl. Again, I talked about the Pro Bowl. That ain't my focus. I'm not focusing on the Pro Bowl. I don't even want to talk about the Pro Bowl anymore. I just want it to be over. I want the Pro Bowl to be over so that we can focus squarely on the Super Bowl. And I think most of the people have already been pretty much squarely focused on the Super Bowl. Really, no eyes are on the Pro Bowl anyway. I've told my opinion on the Pro Bowl. I'm not going to reiterate it here. It's a game that they should probably get rid of. But anyway, Super Bowl time. We are 9 days away from the Super Bowl. It is next Sunday. This Sunday, the Patriots will have a kind of a farewell there before they go off to Santa Clara. They'll have an event. I believe it's at 9 8:30, I believe, at Gillette Stadium this Sunday. It's going to be a great event. And then in the afternoon, they will board a plane at TF Green. They'll travel to TF Green, and then they'll board a plane at TF Green and be on their way to Santa Clara. And next week will be full of media. There'll be a lot of media over there, Media Row. There'll be a lot of players getting interviewed there as well. A lot of events going on the whole week on their way to Super Bowl here next Sunday. One thing to keep a close eye on is Drake May and his injured throwing arm there. I'm not too worried about it. I think a lot of people are overblowing this a little bit, I think. These are things that pop up throughout the year. They've played in 20 games or so. The Patriots have, and Drake May has. You're bound to not be 100%. He is not 100%. Neither is most of that team. I'm a little bit more concerned about Robert Spillane. Will he play at Super Bowl Sunday? Will he play next Sunday? Right now, he's being held out of practice with that ankle injury. I'm very worried about that because he's a big part of the defense. So we'll have to see what happens there. It's a whole another week next week. Maybe some players get taken off of the injury report, like Drake May. I'm pretty sure he'll get taken off the injury report pretty quickly here. He wasn't that limited in practice. He really wasn't, and he was moving around fine. He is limited on paper, basically. And Brady, in the past has played through injuries and has appeared on injury reports quite a lot, and he wasn't, that overly injured. So this, again, should be no issue for the Patriots. Drake May should be fine to go next Sunday because they're going to need Drake May to play very, very well. They're going to need to play this. They're going to need this offense to play a lot better than they've been playing so far in this postseason. They've been able to get away with their mediocre play. Let's just call it as it is, mediocre play, but not against Seattle. Seattle will make you pay for that kind of play. So the Patriots need to play better. Drake May needs to play better. He cannot throw for 86 yards like he did last week. You will not win the game if you do that. The defense is not going to be perfect every single game. So the offense needs to do better. The offensive line needs to do better. Oh boy, that offensive line over this playoff has been really bad. They need to do better. They need to protect Drake May better. If he's on the ground more than 3 or 4 times, they're going to lose the game. They have to protect Drake May better. He cannot get sacked 5 times in a game. Against the Seattle Seahawks, you cannot let that happen because you will lose. The Seattle Seahawks will win that game if they have more than 3 sacks or 4 sacks. If they have like 5 sacks plus, they will win that game. They must protect Drake May, that offensive line for the Patriots. That's very, very important. Fumbles, limit the fumbles. Limit the not many interceptions, I don't think, in the postseason. I think it was like 1 or 2. Limit those even more as well. Players like Will Campbell and some other players on that offensive line play better. Please play better because this is the biggest game of the year for you. And you've got to protect your quarterback because if you protect your quarterback, Drake May has shown this year when he's protected, he goes on a complete tear and has an amazing game. And when he has open receivers like Diggs, Hunter Henry, then that's where you open up some big games there, and a big game for the Patriots. That's what they need, a big offensive game. And obviously the defense needs to continue to be what they've been all year, which is dominant. So we'll see what happens in this one. Again, 9 days out. Last time I gave a prediction, I said Patriots by 3. I continue to believe that's probably what it will be. Maybe Patriots by 3, maybe Patriots by 6, maybe. But that's solely based on if the offensive line plays better than they have been, protecting Drake May, and if that defense continues to play like they've been playing, and that offense gets kickstarted and plays much better than they played in the AFC Championship game. Because again, you cannot play that way against Seattle. You will lose against the Seattle Seahawks if you have a repeat game of what you did in the Denver game. But right now, I'm still predicting the Patriots to win this game. Against Seattle is very, very impressive, but I think the Patriots have shown all year that they have fought very, very well under pressure, and they will continue to do so, I think, and win the Super Bowl here in that Super Bowl 49 rematch against the Seahawks next Sunday. That gets underway next Sunday, 6:30 p.m. on NBC and Peacock. That is going to be a huge game. Huge, huge game. All right. 10:21 a.m. Let's take our first commercial break of the hour. When we come back, we'll have some transportation talk to talk about as well. And your phone calls, 508-822-1106. 10:35 a.m. this morning, Alan Frawley will be joining us via the phone lines. So stay tuned for that as well. And we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Paul Laz, and join me this Thursday from 9 to 11 live on WVBF as Cranberry Country Journal moves from Saturday mornings to Thursday mornings, keeping things light and lively as we bring you a little slice of life of the people, places, and activities that make the Cranberry Country area and beyond a special place to call home. I made the big time finally. I'm on during the week, Thursdays 9 to 11 live, with the replay on Saturday mornings 9 to 11, Cranberry Country Journal on WVBF AM 1530 and 99.7 FM. See you this week.
Here's a winter driving safety reminder. Before you hit the road, take a few extra minutes to clear all snow and ice from your vehicle, especially the roof, hood, lights, and windows. Snow left on your roof can slide onto your windshield or fly off and endanger other drivers. Make sure your windshield is fully defrosted so you have a clear view of the road. Clear headlights, taillights, and mirrors so others can see you. A few minutes of prep can prevent crashes and injuries. A reminder from the Rainham Police Department and your friends at your hometown radio station, WVBF.
And 23. All right. Anyway. All right, we're back as we turn down the bumper music. There we go. It is 10:23 a.m. here. Our transportation topic here now, and we continue to get some very interesting news coming out of the MBTA. Before we do that, let's take our phone call and say good morning, caller.
Hi, Joey. How are you?
Democratic Cowboy, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. I'm not doing too good, Joey. I had a fight with my sister.
Oh, okay. Sorry to hear that.
It was terrible. I'm so disgusted with everything, Joey. I'm really upset about the ISIS people. You know, the ISIS. I want to take them on. I want to fight with them in the ring. I might not make that cage match in in Braintree. I want to make the cage match in Braintree right now. It's so wonderful. Look at the boys on here and the wrestling, J.T. Powers and Cesar Leo on the TV, you know. They're on the YouTube. And putting their shows on the YouTube. It's beautiful to see inside that place and the fans sitting there. We got a real good thing going out here, Joey.
Yeah, I mean, again, independent wrestling, great promotion.
Joey, we got a gold line here. It's just like Vince McMahon's Allentown. It brings back memories of Allentown, Pennsylvania, and Joe McHugh and Dick Willie, and we got referees up here. The wrestlers is Lean Mean Kathleen and Sarah Bully Jade, and they're coming from the fans are coming from Worcester. I got 3 beautiful girls coming from Worcester every month down here to Brockton. They come from New Hampshire, and we got a cage match. And it's a shame. It's a shame we don't get a bigger place.
Yeah, and got a couple minutes here before we take our 10:30 news break. I do want to ask you before I let you go, though. Who do you think is going to win the Rumble tomorrow morning?
I don't know, Joey. I don't know who's going to win the Rumble. I'm so concerned about these guys here in Brockton. These wrestlers in Brockton. The fans are coming, trying to, you know. Did you? I took a look on the Ticketmaster last night, right? Mm-hmm. And I've got it on my phone here. $5,420. That's friggin' insane, Joey.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
For the front row seat 1, 3 rows back, $5,000, Joey. That's
an understatement. Absolutely, it is. I 100% agree with you.
When I used to pay $3 or $4 a week for Wiki Sports Arena, you know.
Yeah,
And look at Tony Gurria in the car across the street making love to the girls.
Yeah, I went to a WWE live event in Hyannis at Cape Cod Melody Tent 2008, and I can tell you right now, those tickets were not that much.
Dean Hole, remember Dean Hole? Dean Hole and Tony Gurria sitting in the car making love to the women. Wasn't that funny, Joey?
Anyway,
the women running their hands through his wavy hair.
Anyway, Democratic Cowboy, we're up against it.
One time I was working at the Lowell, right?
Yeah.
Lowell, Massachusetts. And I was looking at this kid way up in the balcony, and he was throwing something down on Torres Tanaka's head. So I went up there, and the kid was taking the ice out of the Coke machine upstairs and getting ice cubes and throwing them like they were bombs coming down on Tanaka's head.
Well, I just want to tell you thank you for giving us a call here. We are up against it here. We got about a minute before the news, but I want to thank you. Absolutely, and call anytime.
I will anytime, Joe. You keep me sane.
All right.
Before I go insane.
All right. Thank you.
Sane, Joe. I don't want to end up in Bridgewater or Taunton. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yeah, bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Democratic Cowboy gave us a call here. Royal Rumble is coming up tomorrow, by the way. Tomorrow morning, actually, because it is in Saudi Arabia. Yes, it's in Saudi Arabia. I believe Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, is where it will be. That should be fun. Royal Rumble tomorrow. I'm with Democratic Cowboy. I have no idea who is going to win the Royal Rumble. At least on the men's side. I have no idea. On the women's side, it seems like it's increasingly likely Liv Morgan will win the Royal Rumble. As the days kind of go on here, Liv Morgan is making a pretty good case for her to win the Royal Rumble. I think she will win tomorrow. But for the men's, I have no idea. That is wide open, I think, in my opinion. And some of the matches on the card as well are very, very interesting. Could we be seeing the retirement of AJ Styles? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think he's going to retire at this show. Again, I could be wrong. But I think his retirement is more of a WrestleMania level retirement. I think he'll have one more match at WrestleMania, and that will be his retirement match. I don't know who he'll face, but I feel like that will probably be where he retires instead of tomorrow. But again, I could be wrong. But again, good card for the Royal Rumble tomorrow. I'll probably talk about it with Eric next Friday. Again, Eric is coming on next Friday, so stay tuned for that. So we have that coming up next Friday. Eric will be with us in the second hour. Okay, it's 10:30 a.m. We are out of time for this half of the second hour. I didn't get to our transportation topic, but do stay tuned because we will be, I think, getting into transportation when we talk to Alan. So we might be talking about some of the things here that I had planned to talk about here in this half hour with Alan. So stay tuned. We'll have Alan joining us via the phone lines in just a couple of minutes. But this is WVBA 1530 AM, 99.7 FM. It is 10:30.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. There's a nor'easter brewing, and it's expected to dump a lot of snow on the eastern Carolinas and Virginia's tidewater starting as early as tonight. Bitter cold also persists across a wide swath of the country, and that includes in the deep south. He was in the thick of a disruptive anti-ice protest inside a Minneapolis church during a service earlier this month, and now ex-CNN personality Don Lemon has been arrested. As a midnight deadline for a partial government shutdown looms, President Trump holds out hope it can be averted.
Hopefully we won't have a shutdown. We're working on that right now. I think we're getting close. Democrats, I don't believe, want to see it either. So we'll work in a very bipartisan way. I believe not to have a shutdown. We don't want a shutdown.
Senate leaders are scrambling to save a bipartisan spending deal that would avert the shutdown. Funding for ICE has been a major stumbling block. President Trump has signed an executive order tightening the screws on a longtime U.S. foe, that communist island just 90 miles or so off Key West.
The order would impose a tariff on any goods from countries that sell or provide oil to Cuba. It's seen as a move that could further cripple an island already plagued by a deepening energy crisis. The executive order would primarily put pressure on Mexico, a government that has acted as an oil lifeline for Cuba and has constantly voiced solidarity for the U.S. adversary.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston. President Trump says he'll nominate Kevin Warsh, former Fed governor, for Federal Reserve chairman, succeeding Jerome Powell. Powell's term is up in May. Venezuela's acting president has signed a law that will open the nation's oil industry to private sector investment. On Wall Street, the Dow is down about 190 points. The Nasdaq off 123. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-893-2288. That's 800-893-2288.
My name is Whitney Allen. I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage, no medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
The European Union adds Iran's Revolutionary Guard to its list of terrorist organizations.
Kayat Kalas,
The EU's foreign policy chief said Thursday that the bloc's foreign ministers unanimously agreed on the designation. Earlier in the day, Kallas told reporters,
"If you act as a terrorist, you should also be treated as terrorist."
The listing came after the 27-nation bloc sanctioned 15 Iranian officials, including commanders in its Revolutionary Guard, over the violent crackdown on protesters. Activists say the crackdown has seen over 6,300 people killed. I'm Karen Chavez.
Panama's Supreme Court has ruled the concession held by a Hong Kong-based firm to operate ports at either end of the Panama Canal is unconstitutional. It's a decision that advances the Trump administration's goal of thwarting China's influence over the strategic waterway that was built by the U.S. News and analysis, townhall.com. Well, to call this place a hotspot would be a serious understatement, as correspondent Keith Peters explains.
Scotty's Castle, built in the 1920s, is tucked away in the desert in Death Valley National Park, California, and was one of the park's biggest attractions. It's been closed for 10 years after a flash flood damaged nearby roads and utilities, but the castle grounds are reopening for limited tours this year. Full reopening is anticipated a few years from now. The castle tells the story of an unlikely friendship between a con man and a millionaire. Keith Peters, Washington.
President Trump is suing the IRS and the Treasury Department for $10 billion. He's accusing them of failing to prevent a leak of his tax information to news outlets. The lawsuit has been filed in a federal court in the state of Florida. More on these stories, townhall.com.
WVBF is your hometown radio station. And one of the things we like to do to support people in your hometown is to run community announcements. If you do belong to a nonprofit group or organization, or if you're an official with a city or town government, send your community announcements along to our email address. It's safe, it's fast, and it allows us to get right back to you if we have a question. Send your community announcements to WVBF1530@hotmail.com. That's WVBF1530@hotmail.com. Thank you for listening. Your hometown radio station is AM 1530, WVBF, and 99.7 FM.
At some health systems, cancer care can make you feel like a number. At South Coast Health Cancer Care, you're more than a diagnosis. We offer the most advanced treatments and the latest surgical advancements, led by a connected team of experts who not only see your cancer, but all of you. Because healing isn't just medicine, it's compassion, it's connection, it's care that knows your story and walks along with you. We are South Coast Health Cancer Care. Visit southcoast.org/cancercare.
Don't miss InfoTrack weekends here on WVBF. InfoTrack is a weekly nationally syndicated public affairs radio show that features interviews with experts discussing topics of real interest to you. InfoTrack strives to present impartial, balanced coverage of every story. I'm your host, Chris Whitting, along with a team of talented reporters and legendary announcer, Charlie Van Dyke. InfoTrack, Saturday mornings at 8:05 a.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m. here on WVBF AM 1530 and 99.7 FM, your hometown radio station.
News updates, tech mobility. No, do that, please.
Welcome to the Tech Mobility Minute, brought to you by Playbook Investors Network, your strategic partner for unstoppable growth. Visit pincommunity.org to get started.
When Verizon experienced a widespread network outage, millions of customers were suddenly left without calls, text, or data, triggering frustration across major U.S. cities. Inc. magazine notes that the most effective response wasn't technical updates, but human engagement, as social media teams replied directly to consumers by name and acknowledged the disruption. The incident highlighted how dependent daily life and emergency access have become on mobile connectivity. It also underscored the importance of transparency, empathy, and fast communication when services fail. Verizon's response offers a case study in crisis management for any connected business. I'm Ken Chester.
Every great business starts with a spark, but taking it to the next level takes strategy, connections, and capital. That's where Playbook Investors Network comes in. We're your strategic partner for accelerating growth, navigating challenges, and capturing market opportunities before your competition does. Your business is more than an idea. Let's make it an impact. Playbook Investors Network. Your future starts here. Learn more at pincommunity.org.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
I let go of trying to control things that I had no control over, and that helped me find peace of mind.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
I was constantly stressed and worried. Now,
Good morning. You're on Hometown Talk. Hey, Alan, we're on a commercial break. We'll be right back in about 30 seconds. No problem. No problem. All right, we are back here as I turn down the bumper music. It is 10:41 a.m. here, and joining us via the phone lines this morning, Alan Frawley. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning, Sully. How are you on this chilly day?
I'm doing pretty good. Trying to keep warm here. It is brutally cold outside. I mentioned at the top of the show today. It feels more like Prudhoe Bay, Alaska than it does Taunton, Massachusetts. Really feels
I think it's
cold.
actually warmer in Alaska.
So speaking of the snow and this last snowstorm that we got, how is this weather, this cold weather and this snow affecting the schools in Middleborough this week?
Well, unfortunately, we weren't able to open up the schools until Thursday. Monday, obviously, was a bit of a mess. Tuesday was still pretty messy. Now, on Wednesday, I informed school superintendent just didn't feel comfortable busing 3,000 kids to school. So, and in no way, shape, or form is that a bit or a slight foot back EPW. Couple things to keep in mind is that Middleborough is the second largest municipality in the state, the second only to Plymouth, and if you took the Mount Sanders State Park out of Plymouth, we'd be as big as municipality as Plymouth. We have over 220 miles of roads to clear, 18 inches of snow on a 220 miles of road is not something that I think anybody can comprehend unless you actually do it. So we understand that DPW is out there busting their hump, and they're doing the best job that they possibly can with the limited resources that we give them. So it was not a slight towards the DPW in any way, shape, or form, but we just felt that it's in the best interest of the 3,000 students that have to attend Middleborough Public Schools. Wednesday wasn't the best day to get them back. So. but that's behind us. They're in school. They were in school yesterday, in school today. Doesn't look like, knock on wood, doesn't look like the Sunday storm is gonna affect us too badly. So, yeah, moving forward, we're gonna keep on trucking, you know?
Yeah, I think we're just going to get the wind, I think, from this this bomb cyclone, potentially, that we're going to get the snow. It looks like 1 to 2 inches maybe, which is good. We don't need any more of the snow. I can kind of deal with
I
it.
like the cold and I like the snow, but we got enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely deal with the wind, but I cannot deal with the snow. Any more snow than we've already got. Speaking of a school committee, what's been going on with the school committee here as we get into 2026? What are some of the big things the school committee has been focusing on, other than the cold weather, of course?
Right now, we're working through our budget, and we have some, there's gonna be some big news in the next few weeks about, the budget and the effects of the budget. We're feeling the pinch, there's a town-wide, we're feeling the pinch. So I think we have some pretty good ideas on how to deal with the shortfall. And, I can't talk too much about it because we haven't announced it yet, but I think people, once they get past their initial surprise, I think they'll understand where we're coming from and what's going to be going on. And we look forward to having a very long and in-depth community discussion about some of our options as well.
Another big news story. Now moving away a little bit from the school committee stuff. You were a former Board of Selectmen member, and the process of getting a new town manager, as we are going to be doing here, as James McGrail has announced that he'll be moving on to Harwich. What goes into that? You know, getting picking the right candidate to lead the town as the town manager.
So when I was on the board, the town manager was Sally Costello when I first got on the board, and after a few years, he decided he was going to retire. So what we did was we hired the Mass Municipal Association to help us search. They're a great resource. It's the Mass Municipal Association is a statewide association that every municipal officer is invited to join and take place. So it's like a statewide collective of select board members and elected officials. And they kind of specialize in, doing these searches and stuff like that. So that's what we did. We hired them, and they kind of narrowed the field down for us. And then we had a town manager search committee that we formed, and they narrowed the field even more so for us, gave us a couple recommendations. We interviewed our prospective town managers, and so we made a great decision at the time and hired Bob Noon. But I'm hoping that the current select board, and I'm sure that they will, they'll have a thoroughly in-depth process that involves the public. And, if any luck, we get somebody like Bob or we get somebody like Jay. I haven't worked as a selectman with Jay, but I have been working with him as a member of the school committee and the planning board. So two different fronts. And Jay's going to be, Jay's a great town manager. I really enjoyed working with him. And he's going to be hard to replace. But that's how we felt when Bob retired and we got Jay. So with any luck, again, knock on wood, we'll get somebody just like Jay, and who's good for the community, understands they have a lot of special interest in perspectives here in Middleborough. And again, and I say this all the time too, Middleborough is the second largest municipality in the state, and one of its biggest issues is our size. So there's some unique things that go on in Middleborough, and I'm sure that the select board's going to find a town manager that can appreciate and embrace those.
Now, switching gears again to transportation. I know that we are now past the deadline for the MBTA Communities Act, and the remaining towns not in compliance was announced today, announced actually yesterday, that the town is, these towns are being sued. What are your thoughts on that? Our neighbors to the east, Halifax, is involved in this, and also East Bridgewater. What are your thoughts?
I hope they stick to their guns and continue to fight. The MBTA Community Act is kind of failing at huge level. I think initially it was suggested to increase the housing by 300,000 units, and right now it's at about 3,000. So I don't know where anybody else went to school, but 1 out of 100,000 is kind of like an F to me. You know, I don't think it's done anything good to Middleborough. I don't think it's helped Middleborough in any way, shape, or form. I absolutely oppose the idea that the train station should be where it is. And that's the thing too. Is I'm in favor of South Coast Rail, just not the version that they built. And it's, the Middleborough Station is an interim station. That's what we were told. So we're building all this housing around an interim station. Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I've talked about some of these towns as well. Carver being involved as well. I know that they are adjacent to two towns that do have MBTA stations, but those MBTA stations are not that close to Carver,
right.
And they don't have anything there in Carver. So why they're involved, I don't know.
Right. I mean, there's any number of issues with this MBTA. We're supposed to be, first of all, the housing isn't required to be affordable. So we're not building housing that's going to help people who need the housing, and we're certainly not building any type of housing that's going to be a step toward home ownership, which is the average person's only opportunity to generate some generational wealth. Home ownership is the best thing you can do as far as an average person to gain some money in the bank, if you will. So we don't have that opportunity with the housing that we're required to build now. This is supposed to be housing for people who take mass transit and reduce the number of cars on the road and stuff like that. But you can't do much in Middleborough without a car.
Yes.
So why do you go to this type of housing? And the third thing is this is a state mandate that's being forced upon these towns. And every single town in the Commonwealth has a planning board. If the state wanted to work cooperatively with these planning boards, they know their towns the best, and they know what's going to work best in their town. Not just one size fits all, flat mandated, not well thought out MBTA Communities Act that everybody who came up with it has now retired and gone. So they get to pull the pin, throw the grenade in the room, close the door, and walk away. And we're stuck here cleaning up the mess. You know? And the state's gonna sue its own citizens because they took a vote and didn't go along with it. It's utterly ridiculous. The state isn't separate from us. The state is who we pay with our taxes. So look out for us. And here they are suing us because we don't agree with somebody else who lives up on Beacon Hill imposing their housing mandates on us. I think it's utterly ridiculous.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. 100% agree. And I feel bad for some of these towns, especially Carver and some of the other towns that don't have anything when it comes to the MBTA, but are adjacent to these other towns, whatever that means in the wording. I feel bad there for that. But again, I do hope that they do keep, like you said, fighting this as well, and we'll see what happens there. Now, moving on to something a little bit more cheerful here, and that is the Patriots. I am what if you had asked me in September, did I think that they were going to make the Super Bowl? I would have said no way, no way. I would have said no way. Yeah, and now they're here. Now they're 9 days away from the Super Bowl. They're taking on a familiar foe. They're taking on the Seattle Seahawks. I mentioned the keys. The keys to the game. Better offensive line. That offense needs to be better. The offensive line needs to be better. And the offense, honestly, needs to be better, too. 86 yards of passing from Drake May is not going to get it done against Seattle. The defense needs to continue to play the way that they've been playing all playoffs. But what are your thoughts on this matchup, Super Bowl 60, Patriots and Seahawks?
But it's a lot like me going into my closet and finding my old Patriots sweatshirt that I haven't seen for a while and putting it back on and remembering how warm and comfortable it is, isn't it? It's an old familiar feeling that I wasn't quite expecting. But I remember the last time we met the Seahawks at the Super Bowl. I think the Seahawks are extremely motivated. So I'm hopeful that we tighten up our game. We have a great game, and I think if we play as well as we can, I think we got a damn good chance. But we can't be making silly mistakes, and they better start protecting Drake May a little bit better.
Yeah. I said, 5 sacks is not going to get it done. If he gets thrown to the ground 5 times, you're going to lose against Seattle. That's just obvious. Obviously, that offensive line needs to play better. If you get Drake May some time, he's shown this season that he can throw some really good passes and have some really good games on offense. Stephon Diggs is great. Hunter Henry is great. You got some other great players. You got a good run game as well. If you just get some time to get these players open, then the Patriots are going to run roughshod over Seattle, I think, in my opinion. I said 3 points, 3-point game, maybe 6-point game in the Patriots' favor. What is your final score prediction?
I would agree with that. I'd be very happy with the 21-14 game.
Yeah.
It's funny. How old are you, Joe?
I am 26.
You're older than Drake May.
Yes, I am.
Can you imagine? I mean, I'm just in awe of these kids. A 23-year-old playing in the Super Bowl. And he has that voice. He has that calm. He steps up to the plate. He's going to have a great thing. Like you said, if the Patriots protect him, he can make the plays. He can make the passes. He's got that talent. I think he's got the wherewithal. So it's either way. I can't believe that they made it this far either. But hey, if the breaks keep falling in our way, why not take it?
Absolutely, 100%. Well, 10:58 a.m. I want to thank you for calling in once again, Alan. We'll have you on again before the end of the winter.
All right, sounds good.
All right, thank you so much.
The end of winter sounds good too, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. At this point, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to Groundhog Day and the groundhog telling us 6 more weeks of winter. As I mentioned, I like everything else outside of Groundhog Day. The town itself. I've been to Puxatawny. It's a nice town. The groundhog, me and him don't see eye to eye. All right. Thank you so much, Alan.
Anytime. Nice talking with you, George. Thank you guys for the
Absolutely. Yep. Bye-bye. That was Alan giving us a call here, talking with us for a few minutes on various topics. The MBTA Communities Act is that continues to keep going, and more things keep happening with that. Also, school committee and things like that. What's going on at the school committee and town manager as well. That search is starting to sort of ramp up now. Again, as James McGrail there is leaving Middleborough and heading to Harwich. So Middleborough will be looking for a new town manager. So we talked about all that good stuff as well, along with the Patriots and what he thought of this Patriots and Seattle game. So I want to thank Alan for giving us a call. And I'm going to say a goodbye, everybody. Thank you for listening to today's program. I will be back for another edition of Friday's Hometown Talk next Friday. Eric Dunn will be joining us once again, and we'll be talking post Royal Rumble season as WrestleMania season officially gets underway for WWE tomorrow morning with the Royal Rumble. So it's going to be a big deal tomorrow, the Royal Rumble. And it's not in the States this year. It's in Saudi Arabia. How is that going to be affecting things tomorrow as well with the Royal Rumble? But we'll talk to Eric about that. We'll talk to Eric about the Patriots, of course. Celtics maybe a little bit of the Bruins. I think the majority of the hour will be focusing on the Patriots, breaking that down, both on offense and defense. Breaking down Seattle as well, and also the Royal Rumble. We'll be talking a little bit about that too. That's probably going to be the majority of the show. I'm probably not going to focus too much on the Celtics and the Bruins as we approach the All-Star break for both of those teams. Things don't really get going until the second half of the year with those teams anyway. So All-Star break is coming up. Then you got, for the NHL, you got the Winter Olympics break, which I believe the Winter Olympics starts next week, I think. So it's coming up pretty quick. The NHL is going to be on break here for a couple of weeks as we get into the Winter Olympics, which will be in Italy this year. So there you go. All right, 11:01 a.m. Thank you, everyone, for listening to today's program. Join me on Sunday for another edition of Middleborough in Review. Until then, have a great weekend, everybody. And we'll talk to everyone on Sunday. Bye-bye. Okay. Hi, everybody.